Welcome to the Ivaldi Sako podcast. In today's episode, we're going to see how to become a respected, powerful, effective, and rich, wealthy leader. Because with these 23 laws of war that you can apply to business and life, you will become a true leader. A leader that knows what to do, when to do it, when not to do it, how to behave, how to lead, how to make people follow you, respect you, and listen to you, and want to do that themselves. I think it's going to be a pretty awesome podcast. And by the way, if you're new here, my name is Ivaldi Sako. Welcome to the show. I'm the founder of OreGrowth.com. We help business coaches and experts attract high-paying clients on autopilot. And here, I document my journey. I help you become truly free and successful. Help you become freaking rich. And I document what I learn, specifically in business, personal development, and human psychology. These things are awesome. They help you just make your life so much better and help you win at the game and become really successful. So I liked it. And so I learn about this and I tell you about it here. I tell you what most people don't talk about here. So if you are interested in this, I suggest you click subscribe and join us to become truly free, truly successful, become freaking rich, and learn to do that, because this is the pathway. By the way, also, we have a little fee on this show, and it's that if you like the show, if you find it useful, if you got some value out of it, you share it. You share it with a friend. If you didn't, you don't share it. But if you did, you share it, because this is how we are going to grow the podcast, by word of mouth. So, these 23 laws of wars are taken from The Art of War, the book from Sun Tzu. And business and life are really like war, and war is a good metaphor for business and life. I don't know why I had problem say that, but yeah, sometimes I paraphrase, but the message and the lessons are the same. I try to always, when I tell you about those laws, rules, whatever you want to call them, these are basically notes I took from the book, and I just thought about, okay, these are rules in business and life as well. You can try to think, okay, how can I use this? How can I implement this in my business? How can I implement this in my life to make me a better leader, to make my business better, right? Cool. So, just as the flow of water follows the accidents of the terrain, so to achieve victory, an army must adapt its actions to the enemy's situation, right? Think about, okay, how does this work? Number two, and I'm saying those not two at the same time because they go together. And just as water has no stable form, just as water has no stable form, there is no permanent condition in war. What does this mean? This means we must always adapt. This means that the market for business, the environment is always changing. It's always constantly changing. And so when it's changing, you need to adapt and evolve with your environment. In business, it's the market. What is the market? The market is like, in the market, there's competitors. There's your niche, like the people that you want to sell to, right? There's the different new technologies, new tools, and in people's minds, there's always like some preconceived conditions, right? So right now we're talking a lot about AI, so people know about AI, and this interferes with the environment. So you need to adapt your messaging to people that know right now about AI, right? You need to adapt to competitors using AI. You need to adapt yourself to the situation, just like water, right? I think it was Bruce Lee that said, be formless, shapeless, be like water, right? Something like this. Number 3, nothing is more difficult than the art of maneuvering. The difficulty is, in this matter, consists in making a crooked voice the most direct route and changing bad luck into advantage. Think about, okay, how can I use this? How could this be a metaphor for business? How could this be a metaphor for my life? In business, this could mean that to achieve a certain result for your clients, for example, a lot of people do it in a certain way, in the way that is most obvious. For example, let's say a lot of people use Facebook ads, right? A lot of businesses do that to get clients. Or maybe even like some step further. A lot of people do ads online and advertise their business online. Now, this is the most common route right now. And the oldest route, which was physical ads, maybe on billboards ads, this has less people do that right now, right? It's the less traveled route. It's the path the least amount of people take. Maybe if you can take this, you can turn your disadvantage. For example, you have a disadvantage on the common route, right? Everybody takes it. You need to differentiate yourself. But on the uncommon route, you have an advantage. You're the only person using this route. You're special and you have less competition. And so you can turn this disadvantage at first into an advantage. Number 4, I'm not going to tell you always all the numbers because it's just not practical. So advance by devious routes and distract the enemy by baiting him. Thanks to this process, it is possible that you left after him and arrived before him. And you arrived before by reducing the steps it takes you to achieve the goal or a result for a client. If you see a disadvantage, for example, in your competition, they do a certain way like this, right? It's a common path. People need to, launch Facebook ads, have a website, and have a book, right? Write a book and everything. Maybe, you can take this process and just make it smaller, make it most direct, make it just completely like, what do they need to become clients? Just like, the only thing that they need is this, a funnel. That's it, right? Just a funnel. A traffic source and a way to convert the source. That's it, the most direct route. Now, a lot of people are doing this right now, but you can always find, a way to deliver clients, for example, in a faster way. Maybe you have a 12 steps process, which I kind of had, and now you can reduce it down into a 4-step process, and now it's just more direct. You focus on the 20% of the steps that takes you to get the results, and you focus on that, and so the 80% of the rest you don't need, and so it's faster. It's more direct to the result. He who throws the entire army in pursuit of an advantage will not obtain it. Why? Because if he throws the whole army into it, what happens? He can't sustain defense. He has no defense anymore. The whole entire army went to just attack the enemy from behind to get an advantage, and next thing you know, you're attacked, and so you're done. You're dead. You lost. If in business you have resources, you have cash flow, you have employees, and you put all of your resources into getting an advantage over the enemy, over the competition, and you do that, we're going to have a way better service, and so you put all of your efforts into having a way better service, but now nobody's selling. You don't have any sales anymore. You don't have all the other aspects that the business needs to live. If, for example, you put all your efforts into growing muscle in your life. And next thing you know, you're not healthy anymore. Does it really matter that you're more muscular? No. You have some certain foundations that you need to always keep. And this brings me to the 6th point. It follows that an army that lacks heavy equipment, forage, food, and material will be lost. If you lose your health and your equipment, allowing you to run your business will be lost. You need to pay attention to the foundational things that make you successful. The foundational things that make you survive. Just not even win, just survive and be able to then win. Those who do not use local guides are unable to take advantage of the terrain. And in business, this means use the tools at your disposal. The market has AI. You need to use AI. If not, you'll be at a disadvantage. If you don't understand your market and don't know what's happening inside of your market, you're going to be at a disadvantage. There's going to be a lot of tools, a lot of technologies, a lot of just basic knowledge that a lot of people know, but you don't know because you didn't read the local guides, right? The local guides in the war, it was just like basically the plan of, just like a Google map, right? It was the Google map of the time to see, what's happening? How is it? Are there mountains there? Are there forests? To be able to adapt and use everything that's at your disposal there to win. If you don't, I think I moved the mic. If you don't use everything that's at your disposal, you're going to be in a bad situation to win. If the general loses faith, the morale of his troops will go down. And if the morale of the troops go down, you're most likely going to lose. And so you need to always keep faith, you as a general, as the general of your business, the general of your life. You need to always keep faith to keep the morale of your troops high. Faith is that by which the general, I'm going to restart this one. Faith is that by which the general dominates. Now order and confusion, courage and cowardice are all qualities governed by faith. This is why he who knows the art of keeping the enemy under his control counters him. Then he goes against him. He pushes him to the limit to lead him astray and harasses him to make him fearful. Thus, he makes him lose faith and all ability to form plans. What is the moral of this? Well, how can you use this? Don't let yourself be afraid. Don't let yourself be distracted, confused. To not lose faith. Because if you are all those things, you start becoming, uncertain. And you start to lose faith. Keep your ability to make plans and take actions on them. Keep your ability to do anything with faith. Because if you lose faith, the enemy will win. But if you can make your enemy lose faith, you will win. If you make him afraid, you will win because he will be fearful, and when you're fearful, you have less faith. You don't have faith if you're afraid. Number 10. Land, even if its ownership is questionable, should not be the subject of a battle if it is known that once taken, it will be difficult to defend, or that there is no advantage to be gained from its conquest, but that we will probably be counterattacked and there will be losses to deplore. How can you use this in your business? Right? Don't take a client that could cost you more money that will make you, or that you don't know for sure that you can deliver for. Some people sell some clients when they're not sure if it's the perfect fit. If they will act like, it's a great fit, I just want to sell you. But if they do sell someone that they can't really deliver for, or will be very hard to deliver for, it's a loss. It's a loss. It's not worth it. It's a land that you don't want, right? In war, they were going into like the enemy territory, and there's a land there. They want to take it, but does even taking it, even if you think it's your own, is it really an advantage or not? Will it not cost you more to take this land than it will make you gain anything? These kind of questions make you rethink, okay, should I do this? Because most of the time it will make me money, but maybe sometimes it's not. 11. There are 5 character traits that are dangerous for a general or a business owner, the general of your life. Number 1, courageous. He will take unnecessary risks and be killed. 2, cowardness. He will be paralyzed because he who puts life above everything will be paralyzed by indecision. And indecision is, in a general, a great calamity. Number 3, emotional. His emotions will be used against himself. He will act quickly on anger and not taking into account difficulties. 4, he who cares too much about honor. He will pay attention to this above everything else. 5, too much empathy. He will only pay attention to human losses and will abandon a long-term win against a short-term loss. These 5 character traits are big weaknesses in a general and catastrophic in military operations. So they must be weighed carefully. If you're this is a lot. I think if you know Jocko Willink, he's an author and an ex-SEALs army leader, I believe. And I started listening to Extreme Ownership, his book. And in it, there are a lot of principles that are very similar to the art of war. Because today's armies, are using this ancient book, The Art of War, to create better leaders, to win wars, and to strategize as an army. Like, still to this day, they use the principles from The Art of War, which are the principles that I tell you right now. And all these character traits in the book of Extreme Ownership, Jocko Willink tells you about this. You don't want to be too anything. A leader is not too in one side or the other, right? There's a correct balance to have. You don't want to be too hard, right? But you don't want to be a pushover, right? You can't be a leader if you're a pushover, right? So the character traits here are courageous. Even Jocko Willink tells you that you don't want to be like very insanely courageous and put this above everything else, that you don't take the time to evaluate risks, right? Because this will get you killed. 2, cowardness. If you just are too afraid of losing or dying, you will not take any risks. And so it's not good either. Emotional. You won't take good decisions. You won't make good logical decisions if you're emotional. And you will quickly act on emotions when they appear. And this is not good. You want to be not emotionless either. You want to have some kind of emotion because this makes you human, right? People when they have emotions, right? They love their employees, for example. They love, they are passionate about the business, right? They want to achieve the mission. They are driven. But at the same time, if it just if a leader becomes angry really quickly, he's not going to be respected. It's seen as a weakness. It is a weakness. If he cares too much about honor, well, you're just going to do things for what people think of you. And you're not going to prioritize how you look over the mission. And the mission is the most important thing. If you have too much empathy, for example, you will not let someone leave the company when they are hurting the company. When the best thing for the mission is not to care too much about everybody, but make sure the mission and all of the most of the people in the company are happy, right? Not just like this is my friend. I've known him for a long time. Even if he's making the company lose $2 million per year, I want to keep him, right? Well, you're not putting your mission in priority, and this empathy will make you lose in business and in life. When they see the smoke of the enemy's footsteps, they must warn the general promptly. If your team, maybe let's say your family, right, see a big problem coming, they see the signs of a big problem coming, they should warn you quickly, right? And this is the way you're going to do this. The way you're going to get your team, your family, the people that you lead to do this is by applying the following rules, laws. If troops are punished before they are loyal, they will be disobedient. And this is very true. Like, can't you imagine, like, because this has to do, when I thought about it, because I've also read a previous book on psychology influence by Robert Cialdini, and it tells you about people's internal choices. You will act accordingly in consistency with the choice that you made yourself. And so, if you punish your employee, for example, if you punish someone for doing something before they are loyal to you, what happens? In their head, they choose to not like you. In their head, they choose to not listen to you anymore. And this is the first choice that they make, and so they will act in consistency with this. But if the first choice that they make is to become loyal to you, is to listen to you, and they like you, if this is the first thing that they do, and they make this internal choice at first, they will most likely act in consistency with it. And so at this point, they will be loyal. But if you punish them before they are loyal, they will be disobedient and will never be loyal to you. Because it will be very hard to overcome this consistency bias, this consistency trick in your mind, psychological trick in your mind that make you want to behave like you already behaved. Like this is how I do things, right? If you want to know more about this, I suggest you watch or listen to the last podcast, the one on influence by Robert Cialdini. Like influence, and you can manipulate people with psychological tricks, something like this, right? You'll see the thumbnail and the title of the podcast. If orders are effective, troops will be obedient. If orders are not effective, they will be disobedient. Pretty logical, right? If someone tells you what to do, and you think this is not the right way to do it, it's not effective, well, are you going to do it? You're less likely to do it. Or you will do it, but just because you have to with an external force, it's not your own choice, and so you're not going to do it properly. And in time, you're not going to do it at all. So, you need to give effective orders to your troops. So, how can you give effective orders to your troops? Well, first of all, you need to know what you're doing, right? But you also tell them why. And this is an insanely useful thing. In the book of Extreme Ownership, Jocko Willink has a chapter called Believe. And this is crucial. If you don't believe this is the right course of actions, well, you're not going to put this belief into your team. And so they're not going to believe it's the right course of action. Oftentimes perception is reality. For people, their perception becomes their reality. So if they perceive that this is not the right course of action, they're not going to do it. They're not going to do it properly. But if it is an order that is effective and that is perceived to be effective, well then, they will act. They will put their best foot forward, the best effort to actually do and apply and listen to this order, right? If orders in all circumstances are justified and executed, rapports between the leader and the troops will be satisfactory. And so you want this rapport between you and your family, you and your employees, you and your team to be satisfactory, of course. How? Well, you give effective orders, but you justify those orders. If you tell someone to do something and you don't tell him why he must do it, he will not do it, or he will do it, with less effectiveness. You need to tell people why they should do something. Give them a reason. This makes them believe, right? And so always when you say do this, add do this because it will get better results, because this is the way we do it and it works very well, right? Just add a justification, and oftentimes just saying because increases the amount of people that trust what you're saying, right? If you just say because and you give it not a great reason for, it's still better than you not saying because at all, right? Always justify what you ask for. Always justify. Tell people why. They should not listen to you just because you're the leader, right? They should listen to you because you're the leader and you make them understand well why they need to do something. Troops must understand why. And this is also why the book of Jocko Willink, in his book, he tells you about a principle called simple. It's like you give simple orders so that people can actually understand why. If it's too complicated, people don't understand it. If they don't understand it, they're not going to act properly. And last but not least, and at the end, I think I'll give you some additional tips to make your life better, because I learned this week a few things. I've been reminded of things that I think were pretty useful to actually sleep better, which will make you a better leader, which would, honestly, this is one of the best things to become a better leader, is just your sleep. And I might do an entire podcast on this or an entire video on this because it's just so useful. I've discovered this week by doing something a little different. It's insanely useful. Anyway, a general must be firm in his values and put himself in the trenches with his troops and suffer like them. This way, he is respected and his troops listen to him. If your family see you always just chilling, always being lazy, giving orders, telling people what to do, okay, justifying it, okay, you need to do this but they see you just sleeping all day, they see you just not do anything, not really be energized and achieve the mission with them, work with them in the trenches, they will not respect you. They will think, okay, this is not a man of his word. For example, if you're a man, this is not a great leader that just walks the talks, right? Walks the talk. I don't know how to say that, right? But you need to do this, right? People, they need to see you. If your family, if you're always telling your family to, okay, eat healthy, like I am. I always tell my friends, okay, you need to eat healthy, but they see you not eat healthy. It's just like, what the hell, right? They see me eat healthy, they see me stick to my word, and see that I'm a man I have values and I stick to them. Well, they're going to more likely believe you, and follow you. And it's what you want as a leader, right? Now, a few things that I learned are to sleep faster at night. I used to waste a lot of time sleeping, like trying to sleep. And this week, or maybe it was last week, I started emptying my mind more, because I used to do this. I used to journal before sleeping, and I started to stop doing this and not doing it really with intent of emptying my mind. Maybe not emptying my mind, but freeing my mind from worry, from things that I need to keep, thinking about. So I just journal. And when you keep your thoughts, you externalize your thoughts, you don't have this, all these things I need to think about. If you plan properly for the next day and you know exactly what you're going to do, you're not going to be thinking, okay, I need to remember that I need to do this tomorrow. And also, if you write down what happens during the day, what are your thoughts before sleeping, well, you're not going to think about it when you're sleeping. You have emptied it. You're just going to feel like you have a free mind and you can sleep, right? You can sleep faster. Now, one other thing on sleep that will make you an insane leader, because you stayed up until the end, I want to give you this tip. I used to sleep 6 hours a night. Then I started sleeping 7, 8. And every time I just sleep more, I feel better. I have more energy. I'm way... I have an unwavering focus when I work. And this energy translates in everything, right? People like me more. I'm more energized. I have all parts of my life better because I sleep more. More. Not even thinking about quality here. I'm just saying more. Same quality, but more. It just allows your body to rest truly. And sometimes you have a little sickness, but you don't realize it. Sometimes you have, your body is in inflammation, but you don't realize it. You think it's normal because you've never tested something else. My challenge to you is try sleeping 9 hours per night. I know it's a lot. I know it's insane. I know, to me, it was insane. I tried sleeping 9 hours and a half per night. I did this right now for 3 days. The results are insane. At one point, I felt like a baby, super excited to wake up in the morning. I had just so much energy. I felt so good. Just being alive felt awesome. And this never happened to me. Honestly. And so, when I did this, I was way faster. My speed increased tremendously. I have way better focus. And so, I thought I was wasting time, right? Sleeping 1 hour and a half additionally to what I usually sleep. I used to sleep 8 hours, 7 hours and 50 minutes to be exact. And now I'm sleeping 9 hours and a half. That's way too much for me, right? It's just I don't understand how I can have the time. How can I allow myself to have this time, right? But I promise you, this time, you just make it up for how much faster you work, how much more focus you get, how much more things you get actually done in a way short amount of time. I promise you, it's so worth it. If you don't try it, you will only regret if you try it later and then realize, oh my God, this is so powerful. Try it. If you don't have the time, make the time. It's worth it. I promise you, you will not regret this and you will thank me so much for it. I'm already happy for you because of the increase of energy that you're going to have. Energy is everything. If you want to be a leader, you need to be an energized leader. You need to be charismatic, right? You need to have this thing about you, this aura, this energy that carries you on. And the one thing that increases your energy so much more is sleeping. It's a superpower. Honestly. Do it, try it, and tell me about it. You will love it. You will love your life just like this, for no reason, which is insane to me. Honestly, I used to wake up with like, I tried to make myself be in a great mood. I tried to, okay, I'm happy, I'm smile. Like, I make myself smile. And so I feel better, okay, cool. And I try to think about my goals. And this time, I wake up, I'm happy immediately. I'm happy without even trying. And if you're happy, guess what? You work better. So I really suggest you do it. One other thing is that I was reminded of this week is don't put yourself in positions where you could be jeopardizing your discipline, where you could be falling again into a temptation that you are often like an addiction that you have, right? Don't go to parties where there's a lot of alcohol if you used to be an alcoholic and can't stop drinking alcohol. Your environment affects you so much. And actually, I read something this week about from the book Thinking Fast and Slow, which is insanely good. You know what I did before reading it? I bought it a long time ago and I didn't have the time to read it up until now. And I saw the book, I was like, is it really necessary for me to read it? Is it really necessary for me to spend this time reading it? So I went on YouTube and I watched a video just trying to get the most out of it in like 10 minutes, right? Telling me the most important stuff about it. I promise you, I'm so happy I still read this book. This video and all the things that you can just like give the most important things. Like right now, I'm giving you the most important rules of the art of war. You still need to like, if you read it, it's going to give you more value than this. A different kind of value. If you read it entirely and you spend your time doing it, it's going to give you more value. It's harder. It takes more time. It takes you time to like try to think. So this is why I also, tell you what I learned here, because you just have to listen and you get this value as well. You get your brain thinking and you can apply the information faster and with more ease. But when I started reading this book, I'm going to get to you like, okay, what about your environment is so important. I started reading this book and it was so useful. Just the first 10 pages, first 10, 20 pages, it was like crisp details that make you change your brain. It makes you change the way you think. It makes you discover a new world. I promise you, it's so worth it to read this Thinking Fast and Slow. You'll thank me for it again. And in it, about the environment part, right? I was telling you, okay, don't put yourself in environments that could potentially make you fail your discipline, make you addicted again. In your environment, there are cues to doing something. And so, I don't know how to explain it exactly right now to you, but there was a study in the book. It tells you about a study where students were asked to make a sentence out of some words, right? And in one of the groups, words were what was there? Old, gray, alone, and let's say that, right? And there was other words, but they could make a sentence with it, and so they did it. And in another group, they did some other words like yellow, green, I don't know, tree, and things like this, right? And they measured after that their pace walking. What they discovered is that the students that had in the words had to make a sentence with the words old, gray, alone, they were walking like, I think, 2 times slower than the other group, because this was a psychological cue. This was an idea that all those words were ideas associated with being old, with an old person. And so an old person is an idea that is associated with being slow. And so with this in mind, unconsciously, it primed their brain to make a behavior, which is walk slowly. And I promise you might think, okay, this is a little like over the edge right now. No. He has a lot of studies, a lot of things like this. Your environment primes your brain. This is what he calls it. It primes your brain to doing things differently. And the other groups were like totally unfazed, right? They didn't have this slow because their words were not associated with someone that is old and that is slow. And they were walking normally, and the other group was twice as slow. And so control your environment. If you hang out, this is why hanging out with people often that are old, for example, will make you slower. Will make you talk a little slower, will make you right? But if you hang out with young entrepreneurs that are hungry and fast and just you have this ambition and you hang around with ambitious people, you're going to become more ambitious as well. Unless in your brain you associate that with some kind of disgust or something like you don't like, and you're going to try unconsciously to do the contrary. So it depends. But you can control your environment to make yourself behave the way you want to behave, to be achieving your goals, to become a better leader. If you like this podcast and you got some value out of it, share it. And I'll see you in another podcast. Maybe there's the previous podcast on the art of war that you can listen to or watch. And the next one is going to be awesome. So subscribe and I'll see you around. Bye.